I find when I get drained and I feel like I'm losing motivation, I also lose that positive self-talk. January 1st isn't the only day you can set goals. I just feel like we don't spend enough time setting ourselves up for success, or at least I don't. And that's something I really want to focus on. Oh my God, sorry, my dog just farted. Pino! What do I say again? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mopping Up Milk podcast, the podcast where we clean up after ourselves. My name is May, and that's Pino. Buddy, I can't play with the toy right now. Guys, just for reference, if you hear this noise during the podcast, it's because my dog Pino is out and about in the apartment today, and it's his world and we're just living in it, so we're going to deal with that. Pino needs to stop stealing the show because this podcast is about us, the girly pops. Welcome back, guys. I missed you. I've been pretty inconsistent with this podcast over the last couple of months. I did take a big break, which I explained in the previous podcast, but I've actually taken up vlogging on YouTube. So this podcast goes on YouTube and Spotify. So Spotify listeners, if you weren't aware, I am also on YouTube and I've been posting vlogs and podcasts here and there. For the moment, I'm really enjoying vlogging. It's actually really fun. It's been really creatively fulfilling for me, just in regards to editing and expressing myself and being able to be a little silly goofy and feel okay with it. But yeah, that's the housekeeping for this week. I want to get into a topic this week, which is very fitting for the time of year it is. So recently I've been really busy with school. If you didn't know, I am studying education support. So studying to be a support for kids in classrooms with additional needs and just sort of giving one-on-one support. And I wanted to tell a little story about placement for my weekly spill because it just made me feel valued. And I think it's important to look out for these little things when you're doing your job, or maybe you're sort of feeling like you're in a bit of a rut, because I feel like it's like these little things that we maybe sometimes miss and we don't think about as much as we should to reassure ourselves. It'll make sense in a second. But I was at placement the other day and I support children with additional needs. My placement school said, hey, we want to give you more experience. We want to get you working with different students, different kids, just to give you more exposure to different additional needs. And I'm like, yeah, cool. That sounds awesome. So I'm walking around the school and this kid was really heightened. Yeah, just was really agitated and worked up. And I'm just going to shorten the story. I don't want to give any detail about any of the students I work with on placement. But one of the principals at the school was like, hey, can you please go and try and work with this kid, try and build rapport and just try working with this kid for a little while, because I hadn't worked with him before. By the end of the day, and by me building rapport with this student and really, really listening and like taking note of what his needs were, I was able to build a really strong bond with him by the end of the school day. But the thing that really got me feeling fulfilled was at the end of the day, he took the time to say to me, he said, hey, May, you're a really nice person. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And he was like, and I'm not just saying that to be nice. I'm saying it because it's true. And I was like, oh my God. That just hit me right. Yeah, it just hit me in the heart. I was like, oh my God. This makes it all worth it. This kid doesn't understand how much of an impact he's making on me right now. And it just made it all feel worth it for me. And I don't know, I feel like I go about my days and I don't actually think about how people appreciate me. I always think about how I appreciate others. And it's just so nice to like take that in sometimes and just go, hey, yeah, I am doing a good job. And, you know, I'm making a difference here. So I feel like, I don't know what the moral of the story is. It's kind of just like sort of look out for those parts of your day when someone's showing you appreciation. And then also, you know, process that within yourself and go, oh yeah, I am doing a good job, and give yourself positive self-talk. I'm saying this because I have been having a bit of a rough time lately with like maybe self-esteem and feeling good about myself. And that the other day, it was just a really small comment by literally an 11-year-old. And he just, you know, made such a world of difference for me. In that moment, like a light bulb went off and I was like, oh my God, yeah, no shit. Like I'm doing a great job. I should be proud of myself and I should keep going. Because sometimes we just get busy and we feel like we're in a bit of a circle, like a hamster wheel. And we're like, just keep going for the sake of going. But yeah, that made me sort of stop and slow down a little bit and go, I'm actually working towards a really cool job. And this job helps people and it makes me feel fulfilled helping people. And it just really put things into perspective for me that I am getting somewhere and I am doing a good job. So please, guys. Oh my God. Sorry, my dog just farted. Pino. I was getting really sentimental and he just did that to me. Oh, his butt's right here. You guys can see it on the screen. Oh my God. I might cry. I was trying to get sentimental with you. We were having a moment and he decided to do that. But yeah, this is your reminder to sort of give yourself a bit of appreciation for how far you have come and what you're doing and how you're making a difference to yourself or others. Just monitor your progress. And that actually leads me to what I want to talk about today, which is progress related. I want to have a bit of a mid-year reflection and have that conversation with you because I feel like recently I've sort of realized that in the mid-year we all have this, well, for me, I can't speak for everyone, but I have this realization that it's like I always get in this mid-year slump. First quarter of the year, I'm really motivated and I've got my New Year's goals and I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. I'm going to do this challenge and I'm going to have a great year and I'm going to do this every day and blah, 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 whatever it is. And I feel like after the first quarter, I sort of slowly decline and I'm like, it's fine. I don't have to do that today. Oh, it's fine. And sort of give myself an out for the things that I've been wanting to do or the goals I've wanted to achieve. I want to talk about it with you because I feel like it happens every single year and I want to try and think about ways that I can sort of remain more consistent and not just go up and then down and then up and then down. I want it to be more of a consistent growth throughout the year. I've got my handy dandy notebook here. My brain's trust, if you will. So where I started with this thought process in my journal was what drained me in the first half of the year, because I feel like what drains me is leading me to be unmotivated and not wanting to continue with goals. And I feel like it's inevitable to feel drained, but I want to see if there's ways that I can counteract that and sort of prevent it from happening. So for me, what drained me in the first half of the year was health concerns. If you've been following along for a little bit, you know that I'm having a lot of issues with asthma. I'm recently diagnosed with asthma as a 26-year-old, which is really, really random. I've never had asthma as a kid, so it's been a weird adjustment and it's been a really intense asthma. So we're still doing a lot of testing. I'm doing allergy testing next month. So being in and out of hospital and going and doing all this testing has been really draining for me. And I feel like that's out of my control, obviously, but I want to think about ways that I can control how I feel about it. Another thing that drained me was another inevitable thing. Something that I couldn't control was grief. I had a family member pass away in the first half of the year, so it's been really full on. Yeah, it's just really draining, obviously. Pretty self-explanatory, that one, as to why it's draining. Uni's draining when I become inconsistent with doing my homework and getting my assignments done in advance. I feel like I'm a very big leave it to last minute. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, as I said, at the beginning of the year, I'm really good with it. I'm getting my assignments done before the due dates. And then as the year goes on, I slowly start to creep into that, oh, shit, it's due tomorrow. Let's get it done real quick. And I don't know how to change that. So if anyone has any tips on getting my assignments done earlier or the wrapping my head around doing that a different way and not leaving it to last minute, please let me know. Something else that drained me was content ideation for this podcast. And that's why I'm sort of, as I said a few times already, I'm just going to be posting this podcast when I feel like I have the idea of what I want to talk about. I'm finding it really easy to make content for vlogs because that's literally just my life and my day. And I don't really need to create ideas for it. Whereas the podcast, I really want it to be intentional and talk about something in depth and actually, you know, provide insight to my life or provide insight to a certain topic and have the person listening walk away with something, whether it's motivation, whether it's learning about something they didn't know about. Like, I want to be able to actually provide something through this podcast. I don't want to just sit here. Sometimes I do Reddit reactions and maybe that's you walking away with a laugh, but I want to have an intention with the episodes and I want to feel good about what I'm putting out into the world and the content I'm putting out there. So content ideation actually drained me in the first half of the year. Saying that I was going to make a podcast every single week, that was more trying to kickstart me to actually post. But now it's gotten to a point where I'm like, I don't feel proud of this work. I'm just putting it out for the sake of putting it out there. And I feel like I do want to do it and I do want to continue with this podcast. But 52 podcasts in the year, I don't know if it was unreasonable. I don't really know how I feel about it right now, but I'm planning on posting 52 pieces of content. I'm taking an alternate route to what my original goal was at the start of the year, which was 52 podcasts. Now it's 52 pieces of content because I'm now vlogging and making podcasts. So I'm still going to achieve my goal, but it's just slightly different and altered because it doesn't suit me who I am right now. I'm different to the person I was at the start of the year, and I'm just rolling with that. On this topic, I would love to know what you guys want to hear or want me to talk about in a podcast. And if I resonate with it, then I'll definitely make an episode about it. So please comment your ideas or things that you would want to hear about. Yeah, just let me know. Hopefully I can make some cool content on it if I'm interested in that topic or know anything about it. I want this to be a two-way thing. I don't want it to just be me preaching to you. Like, I don't like that, and I don't feel good when people sit there and preach to me. So I want to feel like we're more besties. I'm sitting on the couch, you're sitting on the couch over there, and we're having a chat about something that we're both interested in. So yeah, let me know if there is anything that you guys would like me to talk about. Another thing that drained me was lack of organization. And again, it's something that sort of trails off as I get to the mid-year. I'm like, holy shit, why can't I just keep organized? Is it just me, or does everyone else, or does anyone else feel this way, that they just slowly get more and more less organized throughout the year? I just want to be able to be consistent for once. And I don't quite know how to get there. But yeah, lack of organization drained me. Maybe it's more setting structure to different parts of my life and aspects, and just like, I don't know, making it easier for me to be organized. Maybe that's something I can do. Another thing that drained me was lack of communication, whether that's with my teachers at school or if it was like with my friends or my boyfriend or whatever. I feel like I could communicate better. That leads to me feeling drained, is when I don't get my point across or like someone else isn't communicating properly with me. It just becomes draining. So yeah, that's the first thing that I thought to write down, was things that drained me in the first half of the year, because I thought that would put me on a good track to get my thoughts out onto the page. And then I really sat with these thoughts and I wanted to break them down as to why they drained me, and I just discussed how they kind of drained me. Another thing I reflected on, and I would encourage you to explore what drained you in the first half of the year, and maybe how we can make changes to then complete the second half of the year, maybe more successfully or more consistently. I just feel like we don't spend enough time setting ourselves up for success, or at least I don't. And that's something I really want to focus on in the next, I keep going to say the next semester because I'm in teaching, but the next half of the year, the latter half of the year. One thing I really like to do to gain motivation and inspiration is hang out with my friends, and hang out with the intention to help each other creatively. I've spoken about this in the last podcast about how I went and brainstormed with two of my friends and just come up with ideas for each other, for our podcast, for our creative work. I'm trying to make this a really regular thing. I did it with a different group of friends this time, and I literally was having the exact same conversation that I'm having with you guys today. And they said to me, Megan, I don't think you give yourself enough credit. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean I don't give myself enough credit? Where's that coming from? And they're like, you've dealt with so many hurdles in the first half of the year. And I've discussed these hurdles with you guys today and been really vulnerable about it, like health concerns and grief and uni and whatever. And they're like, you've been through so many things and I'm still persevering with my creative projects. And they're like, you should give yourself some more credit. I was like, yeah, maybe I should. That's actually a good point. And that's like sort of the point I'm trying to get across today, is with that story about the student at school and how he really showed his appreciation for me. And then my friends reiterating that with, you don't give yourself enough credit. I'm like, I think my mid-year reflection really is to listen to myself a bit more and give myself a bit more credit and maybe speak a bit more positively to myself. I find when I get drained and I feel like I'm losing motivation, I also lose that positive self-talk. So that is a really big goal, to feel better in the next half of the year, is to really speak highly of myself and give myself the credit and back myself and be like, yeah, I am really good at that. Oh yeah, I do know what I'm talking about. Really back myself in conversation with other people and back myself when I'm going to try something new. Talk to myself positively, because that will reflect then how I act. I hope you guys don't mind these tangents that I'm going on, but I'm really just giving a big brain dump in this episode, and I hope you're following along. I hope it's making sense, but I just really wanted to get my thoughts and feelings out there in like video format. This is like a video journal right now, so yeah, welcome to my brain. Oh, he's put his butt in the screen again. Don't fart. The other thing about mid-year is I feel like I should be setting goals again. I think I realized by talking about it just before is that I am a changed human as to who I was at the start of the year. I change constantly, and my thought processes change. My feelings change all the time. I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by setting year-long goals, because who I am at the start of the year doesn't necessarily mean I'll be the same person by the end of the year or mid-year, like I'm discussing now. I don't know why it hasn't clicked until now. Yeah, I'm a different person to who I was at the start of the year, and I want different goals. And I think it's important to constantly change them. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to set new goals for the second half of the year, or maybe the next quarter. Why not set new goals when you think about it? Like, if the thought comes to you, yeah, set new goals. Like, there's no set time where you should be making goals. January 1st isn't the only day you can set goals, you know? I'm not preaching to you, I'm preaching to myself right now. I'm like, oh, I'm realizing this in real time. Oh, Pino's coming for a cuddle. Say hi, buddy. If you can hear his snorts in the microphone, I'm sorry, but he's a snorty boy. So yeah, I'm going to set some mid-year goals, I think. I'm going to suit them to who I am right now and what I want to achieve right now. And I think the important thing when setting goals is setting macro components that you can do daily to work up to that goal. Because I think it's one thing to set a goal, it's then another thing to implement ways to achieve that goal in your day-to-day life. For example, I might want to finish my assignments before the day before it's due. Maybe it's like every day that I'm on campus for uni, half an hour of that time before or after class is dedicated to chipping away at an assignment. So it's constantly getting work done. I think that's a great idea. Maybe I should implement that. I think I might start that next week for uni. I think it's really about setting intentions and following through. One thing that's really been helping me is putting it up in front of me where I can see it, my intentions. So inside on my fridge, I have a big monthly calendar whiteboard, and I have been for the past 3 months really consistent with updating it, putting all the things that are due, all the events that I have coming up, my weekly meal plan, and seeing it in front of me keeps me motivated to work towards them. Literally having it in my face every time I go to the fridge helps me stay consistent and helps me be reminded of the things I have coming up and the things I need to do. It's just always there. I think when I have everything in my Google Calendar, it's rare that I'll go look through it. But when it's somewhere where I go every day, like my fridge, because your girl likes to eat, girl's gotta eat, it's there and I'm reminded of it constantly, multiple times a day. I'm like, oh, I do have that coming up. I should work on that. And having that constantly in my mind helps me stay on track and helps me sort of get shit done, honestly. So that's a recommendation I have for anyone struggling with remembering to do things or staying consistent, is like just putting it in front of your face. But yeah, literally just shove it in your face. Put it on the back of your bedroom door. Put it on in your study. Just put whatever you need done or whatever you need to be reminded of, put it in front of you. It makes life so much easier. For me, anyway. I recently just went to a Good Shopmate event. So my partner Tommy, he runs a photography community called Good Shopmate, or GSM. He had an event on Thursday just gone. It was just creatives doing a show and tell. So people who wanted to be inspired or motivated to do any sort of content went to this event, and we all sat down in a big workshop room, and one at a time different people would present their work and their story of becoming a creative or their journey. There was a lot of photographers and videographers at this event, and it was really inspiring. I was able to just sit there and listen to people be passionate. I don't know about you guys, but there's nothing I love more than hearing a passionate person talk about anything, literally anything. It could be something I don't know anything about, but if they're passionate about it, it makes it so much more engaging and interesting. So I've been really inspired by them. I've been really inspired by those people on Thursday, and they sort of gave tips and tricks on how to, I guess, kind of filter your ideas. And one thing that was common between a few creatives was their way of getting down ideas. And it was so simple. It was literally just, every day am intentionally open-minded about what I intake, what I see, what I hear. And if I hear a sentence or a phrase that inspires me, I write it in my notes app straight away. And then I'll come back to it later and explore that thought process. If they see something that sparks an idea, they just take a photo of it and then they come back to it. I every day will think of ideas, but I don't write them down and then I forget about it. So it's just like being intentional with content ideation and creative ideas. It's just like literally putting it down somewhere where you can come back to it. And if you're busy at that moment in time, you can just come back and revisit it later on. So I'm going to try that out and be more intentional with coming up with ideas and being inspired. I'm going to be really open to inspiration as I go about my life every day. And hopefully then I can come up with more podcast ideas and topics, because I do like leading these sort of conversations about just things I care about. So I would love to be able to put this podcast out more. Yeah, I guess look forward to hopefully more podcasts coming more regularly. And thank you so much for listening again, guys. Like, every time I get a new comment, like I don't get many comments on my podcast, but when I do, I feel really excited and fulfilled that someone else maybe feels the same way, or they loved hearing about the topic, or they want to hear more about something. It just means so much to me. And that's sort of why I'm doing this, is to feel a part of a community and just feel inspired and happy and creatively fulfilled. So thank you so much to everyone that comments and likes and subscribes. It means the world, more than you know. Like, I don't have many subscribers or followers or likes and whatever, but it means so much when it does happen. And I just love the support and it means a lot. I'm going to stop yapping for today. And yeah, thank you so much again. I'll see you next week for either a vlog or a podcast. Keep an eye out on the channel for either. And I love you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye! I'm going to shut up now.